Hi, I'm Jacob Hornberger, President of the Future of Freedom Foundation, and this message is to all of the subscribers and supporters of the Future of Freedom Foundation and those of you who have become interested in our work. I'm talking to you today to see if you would consider making an end-of-year donation, tax deductible, to FFF if you haven't already done so. Those of you who have been with us a long time, and especially those of you who've been with us from the beginning 27 years ago, know that we have a unique mission to present an uncompromising moral, philosophical, and economic case for the free society or for libertarianism. Now, why do we do that? Why have we always done that? Well, because we believe that in order to achieve freedom, the genuinely free society, you've got to remove the infringements on liberty. That is to say that if all we do is reform infringements, fix them, improve them, make them work a little bit more efficiently, we have not achieved freedom. Because freedom, again, necessarily entails a removal of the infringements on freedom. Our methodology is also unique. We believe in the power of ideas. We believe that simply by putting sound ideas on liberty into the marketplace, that they will have a power, all their own, that has the potential of bringing a gigantic shift in society toward the principles that we uphold. We've seen this time and time again throughout history. The great ideals that have been achieved, freedom of religion, freedom of the press, due process of law, have all been achieved beginning with the power of ideas. And then those ideas disseminate. They find one person, they go to another person and another person, until all of a sudden you reach a critical mass of people that believe this in this paradigm or this new way of thinking that even the political authorities cannot resist. And then everything tumbles in a positive direction. And we've seen glimpses of this already. We see it in the drug war. Some 27 years ago when I started FFF, I would mention the idea of drug legalization, and boy, people just go bananas. They couldn't believe that I would be advocating an end to the war on drugs. Today, 27 years later, everything's different. You've got op-eds and editorials calling for an end to the drug war, public officials, federal judges, presidents of countries, prosecutors. You go on the internet and just Google drug legalization, and it's a phenomenal sea change. States are legalizing marijuana over the objection of the federal government. This is the power of ideas and ideas on liberty. And notice that it doesn't really matter whether people who favor ending the drug war are libertarians or not. What matters in terms of freedom is that a critical mass of people, whatever their ideology happens to be, are now supporting a libertarian position on this particular issue. And we see the same thing with respect to foreign policy. The Pew Research Foundation recently published a poll that says something like, I think it was close to 60% of the American people now believe the federal government should stop meddling in other countries' affairs and leave countries free to manage their own problems. And then after the disasters in the Middle East with Libya and Iraq and Syria and Yemen, people are getting sick and tired of foreign interventionism, and of course Afghanistan and all the consequences that have come with this, the death and destruction, and not to mention the troops' families that have had to seen their soldiers, their family members deployed 4 or 5 times to these war zones. So we're seeing some sea changes here where we have the potential of making big strides, and especially right now where you have this chaos in Washington. Things are always difficult for advocates of liberty when everything's solidified and all the powers are working together on the same page to really destroy the foundation of liberty and prosperity in America. That's not the case right now. You've got chaos over there where factions are fighting each other, different groups are fighting each other. This opens the door, the potential for ideas on liberty. And so that's why we need your help. We need your help to keep us going another year, promoting the idea of a free society from this uncompromising standpoint. Let me share with you a quote that's one of my favorite quotes. I discovered it when I first discovered libertarianism, back in the 1970s. But this is what I'm talking about here. This is a quote by Albert Schweitzer. A new public opinion must be created privately and unobtrusively. The existing one is maintained by the press, by propaganda, by organization, and by financial and other influences which are at its disposal. The unnatural way of spreading ideas must be opposed by the natural one, which goes from man to man and relies solely on the truth of the thoughts and the hearer's receptiveness for new truth. That's what we're talking about. We're talking about introducing sound ideas on liberty where they reach one person's mind and then he talks to another person, he talks to another person. And it's the same thing with articles. When we publish our FFF daily every morning, and when we share with you our monthly journal, Future of Freedom, it's with the idea that if you like this article, that article, share it with your friends. Begin this rippling out effect. Don't worry about the consequences or whether the article is well received or not. Just share it, send it out, because you never know how the power of ideas are going to manifest themselves. And in my end of year letter, which I hope you'll read, it explains some examples of how the power of ideas have influenced people. Not only others that have been associated with FFF, but especially me. That's how I discovered libertarianism, just through the power of ideas. So thank you very much for all of the support you have given us for 27 years. You have kept us going. You have kept these ideas, these uncompromising ideas, out there into the marketplace. And I'm here to ask you to help us do it one more year. Thanks so much again, and a very Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year to you.